We all dance to the music of an invisible musician. I ask you to keep this letter for as long as it is necessary, years, decades. Keep it safe until humanity reaches such a development to accept what is written here. Albert Einstein voiced such a request in one of the letters in which he left his revelations about what God means to him and what governs our universe. A few years ago, Albert Einstein's Letter About God, kept in a private collection for more than 50 years, went up for auction for almost $3 million. Such a high price is explained not only by close attention to the legacy of the brilliant physicist, but also by the content of the letter. What was the great scientist trying to communicate in it? To this day, fierce debates continue around Einstein's views on the problem of the existence of God. Atheist or true believer? In fact, Albert Einstein's attitude to religion was peculiar. A German Jew, a physicist famous for discovering the theory of relativity, once uttered the phrase, "God does not play dice." What did the great physicist mean? Letter About God was written shortly before the death of the famous physicist in 1954. It was addressed to philosopher Eric Gutkind and became a rather harsh response to his book, Choose Life, in which the philosopher tried to give a scientific justification to the texts of the Old Testament. For decades, Einstein's views on religion have seemed extremely confusing to society. In one conversation with Einstein, God means one thing. In another, it means something completely different. Reading his letter to Gutkind, Einstein is seen as an atheist. But if you listen to what Einstein says in other interviews, it becomes clear that this is not entirely true. "I am not an atheist," he bluntly answers George Viereck's question in 1930. The great physicist clarifies that he can rather be called a pantheist. Pantheism presupposes faith in the boundless power and intelligence of nature. However, with the general development of science, society began to talk about the reasonableness not of nature, but of the universe. Here's what Einstein says on the subject. "The human mind, no matter how well it is trained, cannot understand the universe. We are like a small child entering a huge library, the walls of which are filled to the ceiling with books in different languages. The child understands that someone had to write these books, but he doesn't know who wrote them or how. He doesn't understand the languages the books are written in. The child notices a certain order in these books, an order that he does not understand but vaguely imagines. It seems to me that this reflects the attitude of the human mind, even the best and most cultured, towards God. We see that the universe is wonderfully arranged, obeys certain laws, but we understand these laws only vaguely. Our limited minds are unable to comprehend the mysterious force that shakes the constellations. There can be no legitimate conflict between science and religion. Science without religion is lame, religion without science is blind." This famous aphorism of Einstein became the reason for endless disputes between believers and non-believers who tried to declare the scientist their supporter. However, Einstein's little-known letter actually summed up his ideas about God and religion. Einstein sincerely admits in his letter that for him all the religions of the world are the personification of childish superstitions. God is the manifestation and creation of human weaknesses. The Bible is a collection of venerable but quite childish legends. It is naive to believe in the existence of God as a real historical person. The scientist openly spoke about his disbelief in the image of the supreme ruler and arbiter of human destinies, which is glorified in many religions. Einstein was convinced that there was no bearded man above us who was watching each of us. That is why the scientist believed a person is not responsible for his own affairs before God. However, at the same time, Einstein recognized that events in our lives are intertwined by cause and effect relationships. People, vegetables, or cosmic dust, we all perform a dance to an incomprehensible melody played to us from afar by an invisible musician. Did Albert Einstein believe in God? As biographer Ronald Clark notes in the book Einstein, Life and Time, God for a scientist is not the one most people believe in. Over the years, he became a real agnostic, a person who believes that it is impossible to understand, and even more so science, everything that happens in the world around him. After his death, his admirers declared Einstein the founder of the cosmic religion. It seems that the physicist himself would have responded to such statements in the spirit of the famous portrait with his tongue hanging out. Yes, Einstein searched for the true God until the last days of his life. But in his understanding, the supreme deity can only be considered a harmonious arrangement of the surrounding world. In an article for the New York Times, published shortly before his death, Einstein wrote, "Geniuses of all times have been distinguished by such a religious feeling, which does not recognize church dogmas and God, created in the image and likeness of man. Therefore, it is among the heretics of all times and peoples that we find people who were filled with the highest religious feelings, and in many cases were perceived by their contemporaries as atheists, and sometimes as saints." The final answer to the question of faith is given by the physicist himself. Here are a few quotes from Einstein's letters and articles, which were carefully collected by his compatriot, friend, colleague, and popularizer of science, Max Jammer. "Behind all the visible patterns, there remains something elusive, intangible, and inexplicable. Worshipping this power is my religion. In this sense, I am essentially religious." Every scientist is convinced that the laws of nature testify to the existence of a spirit significantly superior to the human one. The universe is governed not by wishful thinking, but by immutable laws. A firm belief in a higher mind is my idea of God. All of this suggests that Einstein did not believe in a God who answers the prayers of parishioners and intervenes in what is happening in the human world, but he believed in a mind or spirit that created the universe with its unchanging laws. Albert Einstein is known to have admired the personality of the 17th century Dutch writer Benedict Spinoza. He also shared many of the theses of the philosopher from the Netherlands, calling them revolutionary thoughts openly expressed during the Dark Ages. It was from Spinoza that Einstein got the idea that the universe is a living, intelligent being. She operated with mathematically perfect thoughts, creating ideal laws of nature. According to Einstein, only the logic of these laws can be considered divine. The thoughts of the universe were not like the thoughts of humans, and the mind of the universe was not like the human mind. The universe had no beginning, which means that God could not be its creator. But these claims were refuted by the scientist himself, admitting that according to the theory of relativity discovered by him, the universe could not be unchanging and stationary. Then, it should have been recognized that someone created it. This indirectly confirmed the claims of the Christian Church that the human world was created by God out of nothing. And at the same time, the immutable fundamental laws were approved, according to which the universe continues to function to this day. The goal of physical science was to discover these laws and make them useful to people. As a physicist, Einstein was interested in the origin of the universe. Why and how did the universe come into being? In fact, we still don't have an answer to this question. It is reasonable to assume that we will never be able to find answers to such fundamental questions. What happened before the universe? And before that, is it really possible to create something out of the void? Where did the universe form? The physicist couldn't just give up on these questions. Then Einstein suggested that there was a God who created the universe. Perhaps this assumption finally convinced the scientist that there is an intelligent force that controls the life of our planet. And it doesn't matter what name humanity as a whole or an individual gives to this force. Einstein believed that we are one with the universe and therefore one with eternity. At the same time, he rejected the possibility of a person's continued existence after physical death, but left room for the immortality of the spirit in the eternity of the universe and a sense of unity with it. After the death of his friend, the Italian engineer Michel Besso, Einstein wrote to his widow, "In addition to the prescribed words of comfort, the letter contains amazing deadlines. Let him leave this bizarre world a little before me." It doesn't mean anything. For us, dedicated scientists, the division between the past, present, and future has only the meaning of an illusion. But what controls the universe? Despite his skeptical views on religion, the scientist argued that there is a very powerful force in the universe that transcends human nature. And we are only partially able to grasp and understand this power with our mind. The way to know it lies not through blind faith or fear of death, but through the pursuit of rational knowledge. The scientist said that the force that controls the universe has unlimited intelligence and logical harmony. Therefore, in a world where everything is subject to patterns, there can be no accidents, since all processes occur according to these patterns. What exactly did Einstein see as the force that governs all processes in the universe? This all-encompassing force is love, Einstein wrote in his letter, which was addressed to the scientist's daughter. The great 20th century physicist called love the most powerful force, as it multiplies all the best that is in a person and does not allow us to drown in blind selfishness. With the help of this power, everything can be explained and the meaning of human life can be understood. However, mankind has long ignored this force, because we are afraid of it, Albert Einstein believed. The main instruction of the scientist for posterity sounds like this: a person can heal the world in which he lives only through love. Only through this power can we save the world and prevent our civilization from dying. In the face of the catastrophes of the 20th century, many complain in vain. How did God allow it? Yes, He allowed it. He allowed our freedom, but did not leave us in the darkness of ignorance. The path of knowledge of good and evil is indicated, and man himself had to pay the price for choosing the wrong paths. Albert Einstein pointed out that each of us carries inside a powerful generator of love, the energy of which must be released. And when the energy of all generators is combined, everything that destroys our planet will be destroyed in this world: hostility, eccentricity, greed. How many years and decades must pass before society reaches such a development that this force is released? Even a brilliant scientist found it difficult to answer. Society is still unable to unite the efforts of many to create a love bomb, as Einstein called the joint pursuit of a reasonable and kind world order. Positive energy can overcome human disconnection and greed. It is love that is the foundation of our whole life. Dear friends, thank you for watching my video to the end. If you liked it, please like it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's very important. Thank you, and have a nice day.